Colin, welcome to Digital Transformation Bite Size. This is a series where I interview thought leaders in the emerging technology space. And we're talking about technologies like legal tech, artificial intelligence, intelligent automation, blockchain, you name it, we like to cover it so that the audience can learn that little bit more about those technologies. Welcome to today's series.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Now, for those folks who don't know you, would you mind saying who you are and what you do? Because I've watched you online for the last couple of years and have seen some amazing content coming out.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. So my name is Colin Levy. I am very interested in the legal tech space. So I often speak, write, and blog about legal tech and helping people understand what it is, what it isn't, and why they should care about it. And I also serve as the director of marketing and business development for a company called WordRake, which is a professional editing tool for Microsoft Word and Outlook that helps automate the editing of documents. And I've used the tool quite a bit, have been a big fan. So it's been fun to now work for a company that makes a tool that I love.
Colin, for those who don't understand legal tech, what is legal tech?
So that's a big question. Legal tech, in my mind, refers to two things. One is it is a collection of tools that are aimed at helping lawyers perform better and be more productive. And those tools can include contract management tools, matter management tools, collaboration tools, litigation prediction tools. But also legal tech refers to making better use of existing tools that you have, such as Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, which are tools we all use, but often don't use as effectively as we could. And I would say the third thing about legal tech is legal tech also refers to, I think, a growing community of people devoted to making the legal profession be one that is more client-centric and better attuned to the needs and demands of the current 21st century.
And how did you get into legal tech? What was it that excited you about the space?
So I first got exposed to legal tech very early, and I don't think I even kind of realized what I was being exposed to when I was working for a big firm prior to law school. And in that role, I was creating e-discovery databases using a variety of different tools. And then when I got to law school, I had no exposure to technology, which kind of surprised me a little bit, given that I had worked with a lot of these tools prior to law school, and I was expecting them to be at least talked about in some context in law school. So when I graduated from law school and was trying to find a job, it occurred to me that surely there are other folks who, like me, thought it was odd that all this technology exists out there in the market, and yet it's not really being talked about or discussed. So I really wanted to learn more. And the way I did that initially was through reaching out to people who were actually kind of creating tools for lawyers or who were speaking and writing about technology as applied to the legal profession. And that's really what sparked my passion, was having these conversations with a lot of different people who then got me even more excited about it and wanting to learn more.
And in your experience, is it large law firms that invest in legal tech? Is it small firms? Can small firms use legal tech to compete with the big firms?
So I think that's kind of a common misnomer. I think that legal tech can be used by any size of firm or law department. In fact, I would say some of the more innovative and tech-enabled firms often are the smaller or solo firms, partly out of frankly, a need to simply just make money, and they need to make ways to make their lives easier and spend their time more effectively. So I would say that legal tech can be used in any number of different contexts, and it's not restricted to simply one segment of the market.
Is it a myth that big law firms move slow and small law firms move fast?
So I would say that that can often be the case, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you can have a big firm that moves more quickly depending on their leadership and their desire to be more tech enabled. And sometimes you can have smaller solo firms that don't move as quickly because they have too much work to do or are bogged down by other issues. So I don't really think it's kind of a matter of size necessarily that dictates how fast or how slow you move in the context of technology.
Sometimes when we see law firms, probably our impression is formed by what we see on television. So episodes like Suits, or go back a bit, Ally McBeal, it comes across as very stuffy and confrontational. Is law the place, or legal firms the place that is an exciting place for technology professionals to actually go into? Or is it a stuffy backwater that should be avoided?
Well, first and foremost, I would say that anything you see on TV relating to the law is likely not the reality. However, certainly there are a lot of elements, I think, of the profession that remain stuffy and stuck up and full of themselves. And that is something that I certainly am resistant to, as well as other folks. And I think where our voices are getting stronger. When it comes to certainly technology, I think that there are a lot of built-in sort of cultural biases and impediments, I would say, to the adoption of technology that are partly due to the fact that the legal profession has long sort of maintained almost religious adherence to its historical underpinnings, which have traditionally been kind of this aggressive, isolated, um, group of individuals who kind of know it all and can do it all, and that really is not the reality on the ground.
I was going to ask you, what is the reality on the ground? This question, when you think about law, all laws tends to be based on precedent, although there is law that unfolds and new rules are created, but the vast majority is on precedent. So if you're a lawyer, you're taught to learn technically to look backwards. When we talk about digital transformation and the future of work, we're very much talking about moving forwards. Therefore, are lawyers the right people to be running law firms and digitally transforming them?
That is a really great question, and I would start off by saying that, um, historically speaking, lawyers are terrible business people, partly because they're not trained to think in business terms, and partly because they don't have the different skill sets that are required to work um, as the leader of a business. They're great at analyzing the law and applying legal concepts to issues, but they're not so great at understanding the business concepts required to actually run a business. I think that is changing, and that partly I think is being driven by uh, technology and technological advances. I would also say that partly it is changing due to the fact that there are now people wanting to basically make legal education be more holistic and not just strictly focused on doctrine. I've been a firm proponent of that movement and of that need to train lawyers in more than just doctrine. So I do think that more and more lawyers will be better prepared to lead so-called digital transformation efforts. But I think that we have a ways to go in terms of getting ourselves in the right mindset and also having the right skills to do it. But certainly progress is being made every day to that end.
You're a trained lawyer and you were a paralegal some time ago. How has law changed since you were a paralegal? Not that many years ago. I'll not make you sound old, Colin.
Well, I would say that the law, in terms of the legal profession, I think is becoming more and more focused on being client centric and delivering better results for clients, and in some cases, being more apt to employ tech to do it than back when I first started as a lawyer, and also back when I was a paralegal, when really the paralegals were the one with the tech skills and the lawyers were the ones who were benefiting from the application of tech via the paralegals. So I do think that is changing. But I still think to some degree that a large number of the advancements in the legal tech space are at the hands of those who aren't necessarily lawyers, but those who support and help lawyers with their work and getting things done.
Maybe a tricky question, the next one. What did law school not teach you?
It didn't teach me a lot. I actually posted about this recently. Law school, I think, at least my experience, everyone's experience is different, but from my experience, it taught me doctrine, taught me history, taught me kind of some of the basics of different legal spaces, taught me a little bit about legal writing in the context of litigation, but much of what I now need and use as a lawyer, I learned out in the field practicing. And I don't think that really should be the case. I think that law school should do a better job of preparing lawyers to actually be lawyers and shouldn't have to rely on being trained by either the law firm that they work at or the law department that they work in. Although traditionally that has been the case. Lawyers learn some of the basics of doctrinal law in law school, and then go work for a firm, and the firm provides that training at significant expense, I would add. And I feel like that model is outdated and is changing.
So how do we get people excited about the law and working in the legal technology sector?
So I would say to that question, a number of things. Number one is just learn and listen and see what's happening out there in the space. You're seeing a lot of clients, I think, making moves to align themselves with lawyers and law firms that are more tech enabled and more apt to speak the language of business. I would say that if you want to kind of get more involved in the space, certainly there are a number of different folks who are leading efforts to educate and inform in that space, and social media is a great place to, I think, to find some of those folks, especially LinkedIn and Twitter, where you often find folks like myself and others speaking about really, I think, interesting issues and helping to inform and inspire. I would also say that, frankly, I think to be a lawyer in the 21st century requires some degree of technological knowledge and expertise. And to that end, 39 states in the US and hopefully more to come have adopted a duty of tech competence, meaning that lawyers are now required to have some awareness of the benefits and risks of relevant legal technology. Of course, they don't necessarily define in the rule exactly what that means, but certainly I think it indicates a recognition of the fact that legal technology is not going away is something that all lawyers should have some basic awareness of.
I love it. I have to say, I worked in law for 10 years, and they were some of the best 10 years of my technology career. Colin, I'm excited now by what you have told me today. I do think there's a tremendous space for law and technology to go together. It'll be interesting to see how the legal sector actually embraces technology. I don't think they can avoid it. Maybe for numbers of years they have. I think it's definitely a space for folks to get into. I appreciate what you and the guys and girls are doing online in terms of spreading news about legal technology. Is there particular groups that you're a member of? Is there particular forums that you would recommend people follow? Should people follow you as well to find out that little bit more to move to the next step?
So selfishly, I would say yes. I would encourage people to follow me on Twitter at @CLevy_law, or also on LinkedIn. You can just find me by name. I would also say visit my website, colinslevy.com. In addition, there are plenty of other sites that I think are worth visiting. Two of the foremost ones are Law Sites blog, which is a great aggregated site of all the different happenings within the space. And for sort of a more theoretical, detailed approach, I would say to considering some of the issues impacting the legal profession, Legal Evolution is another site that definitely is a good one to visit. So there are plenty of resources out there. And if anyone would love to get in touch with me, feel free to do so. And I'm happy to help them out with regards to finding their way within the legal tech space.
Colin, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed by Digital Transformation Bite Size today. I do hope people follow you. I've learned a tremendous amount over the last 2 years about legal technology by literally doing that. Thank you so much indeed. I wish you every success in the future. I'll see you online. Be good, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.